are ready to love, a no romance without finance. And these are my special videos I'm doing to talk about money situations that are coming up in these dating shows, and where we're going to look at the money component of some of these decisions people have to make with these mates. I did my first video based off of a couple on Married at First Sight. If you watch my videos there, hopefully you catch that video between Kirsten and Shaq talking about buy me a house and should he. And now we're going to talk about Jeffrey and Andre and Cynthia and Andre in terms of no romance without finance when it comes to blending families, or even you could say it with Cynthia and Anthony, because they're going to have a blended family. And in this series, we only talk about the money. We don't talk about the emotional aspects of it, all the other things that come with your decision to be about a person. We are strictly talking about money. One of the things I really want to get across in this video when I'm talking about money and no romance without finance, there's a couple of sayings I want to get rid of out here this year. A couple of them are a high value man, and I want a man that makes six figures. None of that makes any difference. Hear me again. High value man or a man that makes six figures, because what people are talking about when they say I want a man that makes six figures, they're talking about a gross income. And gross income doesn't mean a doggone thing if it's not coming into your house. What we need to start talking about as men and women, both, when you're evaluating the financial health of a potential partner and whether they're going to be an asset to you or whether they're going to be a drag on your finances, you need to be talking about net income, not gross income, net income. And those of you who don't know the difference between net and gross, gross is what they tell you when they first hire you. You're going to be making $80,000 a year. You're going to be making $50,000 a year. Net income is after you've paid your taxes, what's your net income? And then the next thing we're going to talk about is disposable income. And that is after your gross income and then your net income, what's your disposable income? And that actually is the most important thing. Because if I'm pairing up with a person, I really don't care what your gross is. I don't even care about what your net is after taxes. I want to care about after you've paid all your bills that is costing you to live, how much extra money would you bring into a household we're going to form together so that we can share our financial goals together and achieve our financial goals. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about net, gross, and disposable income, because when you're evaluating people out here, that's what you need to be talking about. That's what you need to be talking about. Not gross and not net, but disposable income. So I'm going to pull up my little trusted budget worksheet. If you guys saw my other video, this is a budget worksheet I've told everyone they need. If you do not have a budget worksheet like this, you do not have a budget. If you do not know how to financially evaluate yourself, your financial health, then you need this budget worksheet. If you are dating a person and you want to evaluate their financial health, you need this budget worksheet. If you're trying to save money or figure out where's my money going, you need this budget worksheet. This budget worksheet, the reason why I'm really telling everyone they need to get it is because it really breaks down where money is going, so you can really figure out what is your financial health, what is a potential partner's financial health, and what would the two of you look like together. But in this example, we're going to be talking about Andre and Cynthia. And one of the things that came up between Cynthia, not Andre and Cynthia, but Jeffrey and Cynthia, was that Cynthia and Jeffrey both were similar in that they were women that were divorced. Supposedly Jeffrey was divorced, but we're just going to say she's divorced. They both had children by a previous relationship or previous relationships. And the question also came up with Jeffrey thinking that she was on the same level as Cynthia because she's no difference. Cynthia's got 2 kids. I've got 3. What's the big difference? Well, I always said there is a difference, because one of the things that we know for sure is that Cynthia's kids' fathers are in those kids' lives. There's 2 components when you're blending a family. There's a financial component, And then there's also the support system, that if there isn't a support system, is going to create some bills, some finances that are going to have to be created to make up for the lack of support system you have. So for instance, if you have a Cynthia with an involved father, you can count on that father to step up and do some things for those children, versus Jeffrey's absentee fathers won't be around there. Maybe even if it's just babysit the kids while we go on a weekend getaway. If you don't have that father there, guess what you may have to do? Pay somebody to keep your kids. There's lots of situations when family support allows you to save money. In addition to that, you have a father who's involved who's paying child support versus a father who isn't paying child support, or you have to track them down, or in Jeffrey's case, you only have one father paying child support. So what we're going to do on this budget worksheet is I want to show you guys how you need to be using it, how you should look at it, and how I evaluate two people differently, how I evaluate Cynthia as a potential financial mate versus Jeffrey, and how I say it's two different things. And this works the same way with men. If you date a man that has kids, what difference does it make if he makes a lot of money, if he's paying a ton of money in child support? You won't see any of that money. You won't see any of that money. You're better off dating a man who makes less money with no kids versus a man who makes more money that has 3 kids and he's paying child support. When you look at a woman coming into a relationship, he has kids, she has kids. Maybe her kids are coming with a check to help in the household, but his money is going out the window because he's paying child support on kids that aren't in the house. So you have to evaluate that. What's better, getting a check with the kids, or the man, part of his money going out to care for kids that aren't even in the house? You have to know the money that attaches to these types of things. And like I said, I know that there's a lot of emotional issues, things that go around this, but we're not looking at this. This is all about money, crunching numbers, no romance without finance. So let's take a look at this example that I'm kind of lining up here. Let's say that we have 2 individual people, a female, male, or whatever you want to call it, 2 people in the relationship, both making $5,000 after taxes. Let's just say maybe they make $6,000 a month. Maybe they're making $75,000. I don't know. But after FICA takes the taxes out from there, we're showing a net income of $5,000. But let's take a little system that they both have a little side gig. You know, maybe she does hair on the side. Maybe on the side he cuts lawns. I don't know. Let's just say they got a little bit of money coming in from their regular job. They both have another $500 coming in from a side hustle. Right now they're on par. Right now there's no difference. But let's take the example that one of the persons, let's say it's the female, who's the blue here. Let's say that she's getting $1,300 a month coming in for her 2 kids. She's bringing 2 kids into the relationship, and the baby's daddy is paying $1,300 a month that's coming into the household to help pay for the expenses of those children. Let's say that the same man has 2 kids as well, but he is not actually collecting any child support for his 2 kids because maybe he earned more than the other woman, who knows. But if you scroll down here later, when we start going on the expenses, he's actually having to pay, say, $1,800 a month in child support. So she's coming in with an extra $1,300, even though their salaries are the same, but on his end, $1,800 is going out. I know they always try to tell women, oh, you're a burden because you got kids and now I got to support your kids. But that only works. You can only criticize the woman if your situation is completely different. But if you have kids too and your money is going to child support, you're no different financially than the woman is. And in fact, if she's collecting more child support than you, if she's collecting more child support and you're paying out more, she could actually look better. Because even in this scenario, if you scroll down to what would be the bring home pay, and we haven't even added a bunch of other expenses, we can see here that because she gets that extra child support, she's really bringing in $6,800 a month, where by him, because he had to deduct $1,800, his money coming into the house is only $3,700. So it makes a big difference. That's why I say it's really not about your gross income. It is about what is your disposable income after you've paid your bills, or what is the difference. This idea of net versus gross is very important when you start looking at bills. You have a lot of people who are fiscally responsible. You have a lot of people who don't carry extra bills. They don't spend lavishly on, materialistic things. They don't shop a lot. They don't carry a lot of credit card debt. They don't carry a lot of student loan debt. Well, if you are a person that makes more money, but yet you have a lot of debt, student loan debt, okay? Or even in this particular situation, let's say you've got 2 dogs and you're spending anywhere from $300-400 a month on those dogs. Well, guess what? You could make more than me, but because you got all these dogs expensive, I actually look better than you fiscally. I look better than you because in the end, when we come down here to disposable income, I will look better than you. I will look better than you. Let's go along with this example. Let's say, for instance, we have the 2 people. They both make $5,000 a month. Let's say she's getting $1,300 a month coming in child support. But let's say then we go down here and we say things like, well, she also, let's say that he also has a student loan debt. But on his student loan debt, he's paying another $600 a month in student loans. Okay, that's going to pull out of his disposable income. So even though they may say to her, well, you've got these kids and you may have this after school activity and you've got to pay $300 and then you've got to pay another, $100 a month for a tutor and you've got to pay all these child expenses. Well, guess what? That may not even add up to as much as the student loan debt. So that's why I don't believe in all these generalization conversations talking about I want a man that makes 6 figures. I want a woman that doesn't have kids. I want this and that. Because that's not necessarily the point of the matter financially. It's also, do those kids come with a check or is that going to be put on the man? It also means that is that man or that woman spending a lot more money based on their income than I am. So even though I'm making less, because he or she has more bills, I actually look better financially. This idea of talking about gross income and 6 figures and high value men needs to be erased because it doesn't tell you anything, not one thing at all. Before you can evaluate a person's financially, physical health or condition, that for you to know, will this person be an asset to you to build your life together, you would have to go through this budget worksheet. You could not just ask them what they make for a living. It tells you nothing. Asking a person how much they make every year tells you nothing about their financial, physical health and whether or not they will be an addition to your household or a subtraction. Some people have good salaries, but they have no disposable income, so they're not even in a position to help buy a house or do anything because every little bit of money they make is going out the door to cover debt or expensive habits that they have, car leases that they have that never go away because they never purchased the car. They always just lease. So they've been leasing cars for 10, 15 years because they never purchased a car so that they can have a few years of no car payment. So like I said, no romance without finance. And in order to get to the finance, you absolutely need this budget worksheet and you need to go through these numbers with yourself or with your mate. Because let me tell you, when you're out here dating and you're dating, you need to know what you look like on paper. You need to know what you look like on paper. So just like Cynthia said to Anthony, I'm going to be a bonus in your life. You can say it with confidence. Women need to look at this and say, if you're going to a relationship and you're getting with a man, you need to know what you're bringing to the table, not your gross income. What is your disposable income? What is your net income? What is your disposable income you're bringing? Because you may think you make a lot of money, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. But if you have babies with a man that ain't bringing no child support in, guess what? At least 30% of your money is going to your kids because you're not getting any help from that man, which means that knocks you down from a $100,000 woman easily to a $70,000 woman. What about a woman that makes $70,000 with no kids? You back on par with her. So even though, yeah, it's great to have a 6-figure job, when you're comparing yourself to another woman financially, you're no better. And then if the husband or the boyfriend or whoever is not around, now you may need to have extra expenses because now you may need to pay for more daycare because you don't have a support system. And vice versa. Who cares if a man is a 6-figure man if he's got to pay his ex-baby mamas, each $600, $700, $800 a month in child support. That's money you'll never see in your household. You could be a woman with no kids. You could not have any kids, and you could have a six-figure man, but if he's a six-figure man and he's got 3 kids by 3 different women, trust and believe he's paying a good amount of money of his money out to child support. What does that do for you? Where does that leave you? What is the net disposable income of that man? He's back down to $70,000. You might as well go get a man that makes $70,000 or $50,000 or with no kids. It changes your calculation. It changes what you think. And when it comes to children, children are short-term debts. They're not short-term debts. They're not like a car loan where you say, oh yeah, I'm paying $1,000 a month on this car loan, but I'm gonna be done in 3 years. Kids, you're not done in 3 years. And nowadays, you're not even done with kids in 18 years. Nowadays, kids, you're not even done with them financially after 18 years. A lot of these kids are still at home. You're still providing some type of financial help after 18, even if they're not in college. Forget about just, are they in college? Many people are carrying their kids on their health insurance. They're carrying their kids. They're helping them with their student loan debt. They're helping their kids live at home rent-free. So when you look at the debt of a child and the debt a child is on any type of person's financial look, that is long-term debt, longer than a house note. They tell you you can have a mortgage spread out over 30 years. Well, guess what? Sometimes kids' debts, college expenses, that's spread out over sometimes up to 25 years. It's not a short-term debt. So when I'm looking at 2 women like Jeffrey, and Jeffrey has a 2-year-old, I know that she's in for at least another 18, 19, 20 years of debt on that child that she's gonna have to carry a huge financial load. Sure, maybe Jeffrey, we learned from Simone, has some income coming in because she took one of the baby daddies to court to get child support, but I don't know if that pays for all the child's expenses. I don't know what that child's expenses are, daycare, food, because child support is based on what the man can pay. It's not always based on what the child needs. You get as much as you can. But that doesn't mean it always covers the need. And even if a woman says, well, guess what? I can provide for my children. You probably could. You're providing for them now as a single person. So if you got with a man, guess what? You can still provide for them. But that also means that's less money coming into the group pot with your new husband so that you can achieve your financial goals. That's the point of it. It's not a matter of can you provide for your kids by yourself. You can. But going forward, he's going to need to shoulder more of the responsibilities to get you from point A to point B because you have less disposable income. And the reverse works as well. If he's made a lot of babies out here with multiple women, less of his income is going to be able to come to the pot with you so that you can go forward and build a financial future. So numbers need to be put to every situation in dating. And it's not always the same. You can't make a blanket statements and say a woman with 2 kids over here is the same with a woman with 2 kids over here. It's not the same. Because as we can see, here's Jeffrey with kids, but seems as if maybe less child support than with Cynthia with child support. And Cynthia also has an active father in the life of that children that can possibly help out with other things. Now, of course, are there other things in place? As Jeffrey tried to say, was sometimes not having a father around. At least we don't have any toxic situations where people could say, well, Cynthia has the toxic father, James. I don't know. But we're talking about the financial component of it. We're not talking about the emotional. Of course, you need to look at those things too. But right now, we're only talking about the financial aspect of having child support and an active father and a village that's there to support you with those children versus a person who has no fathers around and no village to help take care of some of the financial responsibility of the kids and or some of the heavy lifting that needs to take place so that you're not having to spend so much money hiring people to help you. But if there's anything you get from this video, what I want everyone to get to is get away from saying I want a 6-figure man or talking about a gross salary. Everyone needs to sit down, do their budget worksheet, and say to themselves, what type of money would I want a man in my life to be contributing to our household? how much disposable income you want that man to make. Because you may find out you don't need a six-figure man. You may just need a man that makes $50,000 but has no bills. A $50,000 man with no bills, no student loan debt, no car debt, no credit card debt, doesn't need to go out and buy all the fancy clothes, and all that $50,000 is coming right into the house, versus a man who makes $100,000 but is paying a $2,000 a month in child support, drives a big fancy car, so another $1,000 is going out on that car note, and he loves to dress fine, he loves to look good, so every month he's got a $1,000 clothing bill so he can look good. Financially, he's the worst guy because he's got a lot of debt going out the window, versus the guy who's making less money but has good financial health. People have to be smarter about the way they're evaluating their mates, because let me tell you, there is no romance without finance. Y'all get this budget worksheet so you can figure out how healthy you are and how healthy your mate is. But that's it, y'all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.